Welcome back. We wanted to do something a little bit different today, and this is really just to kind of just pull back the curtain on our relationship, some of the dating experiences that we've had. Just to let you know, this is completely off the cuff. I grabbed Fran and said, hey, let's just talk about some of our stuff. And so it's not really about teaching you something, but hopefully through some of our experience that you can learn a little bit about this. So this is just going to be free flowing here, and we'll see what we come up with, and hopefully that you will enjoy this and get something from it also. So Fran, if I had to ask you a question, probably just going back to when you were single, your dating years, what would you want someone to know just from what you learned while you were single and dating?
Well, first off, I did not have a wonderful dating experience for many, many years. And I would say that I had to kiss a lot of frogs before I found my prince. Thank goodness I found my prince. But I just believe that a lot of what we're teaching you, I didn't have the knowledge of. And I wish that I had had this YouTube channel to help me, to be honest. I was in a 10-year relationship from 15 to 25, and it wasn't completely, dating the entire time. We were on and off for some of those years, especially at the end. But after I came out of that relationship, being 25, a lot of my friends were married or getting married, and I was just wanting to be married so badly. And so I had a fear of getting married. Okay. And so when
that you wouldn't get married.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Not a fear of getting married.
No, a fear of
because
not.
she eventually married me.
Correct. A fear of not getting married.
Yeah.
So,
but not happening for you.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially after a 10-year relationship that, it went on and off. But 10 years in a 25-year-old life, that's a pretty good chunk of time. So how were you, I don't know, emotionally, mentally after that when you realized finally that this is the end? This is not going to be revived.
Yes, I think I was not whole. I was desperate to get married and thinking my time was running short. And so...
At the age of 25.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that can really play with your head, especially if you're a woman, thinking that, 25 and, you're getting older. Now I know that the marriage trends have shifted and people are waiting longer now to get married. So when Fran was a younger woman, that timeline was moved up. And so at 25, it was more, you were married at 25.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm from the South. And so definitely, I remember attending a wedding reception. And I think I was 26 when I was attending the wedding reception. And I had this precious older lady. She was probably in her 70s. And she asked me, she said, well, honey, what's wrong with you? Why are you not married? She actually asked me that question.
Yeah.
And that was devastating to me. So don't ever ask anybody why they're not married, ever. That was free. But,
and there's compassion there because...
because I desperately wanted to be married. And, I was having to defend why I wasn't. And so, but I do feel like in my dating years, especially after I broke up, and then really I wasn't a whole person. I didn't know who I was by myself. I didn't know who I was. I had always, from 15 to 25, I'd been with another person who's, a great guy. And actually we're friends with him, right now, but he was not the guy for me. And so I had to figure out, who am I just by myself?
Yeah.
And that took a while to figure out.
Yeah. Well, that was good that at least you had the awareness of that you were like, okay, I need to find out who I am. Although that didn't come immediately, did it?
No.
Because that kind of, I know a little bit of the story already, but that cascaded into some poor decisions.
Definitely. And so while I was trying to find myself, I made very poor dating decisions, and really very poor decisions in general. Just, I was hurt. I was angry. There were all sorts of emotions that I was dealing with. Really, it was nobody's fault.
Right.
My sister, who was 3 years younger than I was, got married. So I, walked through that wedding with her. And, I just was thinking in my head, I never said this, but, I wish it was me getting married. And so it drove me to date and to jump into relationships that were not healthy, to ignore red flags, to do all the things that we're trying to teach you not to do.
Yeah. And so you really had, for a while there, even though you were trying to figure out, okay, who I am apart from a relationship, because I think that's a valid thing for many people, because they don't know who they are yet. And so they feel like they need somebody to
Complete them.
Validate them, affirm them, give them an identity that they're lacking.
Yes. And so for me, finding out who I was and being okay, being single, was really what I needed to do before I was healthy enough to commit myself to the right relationship. And the ironic part was, a week before I met you, I remember saying to my friend, his name was Matt, we were sitting in the car, and I said, if I never get married, and you have to understand, I came out of the womb wanting to be married. But I said to him, I'm so happy with my life that if I never get married, I'll be okay.
Yeah. So there was finally, so that had to be a huge revelation for you, a huge work that you came to a place of contentment, that you would actually give up a lifelong dream.
Yeah. Just thinking about that, I was getting so emotional. Yeah. And so the fun part about that is, a week later, we were at a group, and I met you. And so, anyway, and that was a week later.
Which I didn't know that. And when we met, we were definitely, it was just friends. There was no fireworks or anything of that nature. There wasn't attraction. It was just two people meeting, and really.
Yeah, and developing a friendship.
Right.
Which is how we started.
Right.
We were friends.
Definitely. We were friends first.
Yeah.
In that.
Yeah.
So you come to, you made some bad decisions there, on coming out of that 10-year relationship, but you knew that you needed to find out who you were. And so there was a time of instability.
Definitely.
Throughout that. Yeah. But did some things begin to form inside of you also about, I don't know, just about relationships, about marriage, maybe even about the guy that you would eventually want to marry?
Yes, I would say that once I kind of stepped back And I started thinking and deciding, okay, who do I want to spend the rest of my life with? What sort of guy would he be? And I can't tell you that I actually wrote down the things, because I'm not a write down kind of person. I'm not a journaler, as Chris can tell you, but I did have some things that I wanted in a spouse. One was, to show emotion. That was top on my list, and not be embarrassed or not able to cry in front of me. And so that was top. I remember, just somebody who was serious about their faith. That was important to me. I just had some things that were in my heart that I knew that I wanted to look for.
Yeah.
And there was a stepping away. I really took some time where I did not date. And I got to know myself, who I was. I worked on me and really my identity. Who is Fran Hester? That was my, at the time, who is that?
Yeah.
And so, I took a while.
It's interesting. I know this is a little bit different, but those growing up years, coming up through high school, that sort of thing, it's like we form an identity around something usually. Like I hear a lot of people who were athletes in high school that played, basketball or baseball. And then, very few people go on even to college at some level and play, athletics. Mm-hmm. And so, let alone going on to the pros, so the percentage is extremely low. And so I've heard people talk about when they come out of high school and now all of a sudden their basketball career is over. Their baseball career is over. Their football career is over. It's funny, kind of talking about it being a career. That they had to then shift and find, okay, hold on a second. That was my whole identity. That's what my life revolved around for those 4 years or for the past, kids start playing in pee-wee leagues nowadays. So that, their whole growing up years. And so the same thing happened with you for a 10-year relationship because you started dating when you were 15. So you were in high school and went to 25. And so it all revolved around that relationship. And I would see why you would have to disconnect and try to reorient yourself to find who you are. And it takes a while to do that. That's not an overnight thing. No. And that's why you make bad choices in the middle of that. But I think the thing that I hear you saying is that you were aware that you needed to do that. Definitely. And that you started doing that, howbeit ever so slowly.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I did. I recognize that. And, even, in the dating and the poor choices, that I can see there were red flags that we're teaching you about that, but just the chemicals, the dopamine and the oxytocin, all the things that are blinding you. And, I was even, actually, when we met, I was going out with this guy and, I remember my family saying, "Why are you dating this guy? And tell us about Chris." And Chris and I were just friends. And I was like, "Oh, we're just friends." But they didn't want to talk about the other guy. Anyway, they were right. They were trusted and they were right. So.
That's so funny. I hope you enjoyed that segment with Fran and me talking about some of her experiences while she was single. And of course, you could hear that she went through some heartache there, and certainly most singles actually do. There are some that do live the fairy tale, that find their forever spouse in high school and they make it through and live a fulfilling life. But that wasn't the case for Fran, and that wasn't the case for me either. next week, we'll continue this candid conversation that Fran and I had about our single status and our history there before we found each other. So I hope that you not only enjoyed this, but I hope that you took something away from it also. Because that's what we really want to do, is to pass along some of our wisdom, some of our experiences, what we've learned to help you. If you like this, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know when we post new content on a weekly basis. And if you thought this was good enough to share with someone, please share it. It might be something that someone needs to hear right now. And let me encourage you that whatever pain that you may have walked through so far in your relationships, that doesn't disqualify you from having a great relationship that you can have for decades upon end. Just means that, as Fran would say, you just haven't found your prince or your princess yet, but that is still there and it's available to you. So stay encouraged in this arena, definitely. And we will see you next time. And until the next time, continue to build something that lasts. Thanks for watching.